Dr. Amanda Hayes stood frozen before the quantum scanner's holographic display, her coffee mug slipping from nerveless fingers to shatter on the deck of the Galactic Council's survey vessel Eternal Seeker *. The readings couldn't be right. The Sol system had been dormant for 500,000 years, yet the energy signatures pulsing from Earth's orbit rivaled those of a dying star. "Captain Martinez, you need to see this," she called out, her voice trembling. "Something's happening in the Forbidden Zone." The Eternal Seekers captain, a veteran of 100 deep space surveys, crossed the bridge in 3 quick strides. His weathered face paled as he studied the readings. "That's impossible. The quarantine beacons are still active. Nothing should be." A new alert cut through the bridge's ambient hum. Multiple signatures now, spreading across the solar system like a awakening constellation. Mercury's orbit blazed with industrial activity. Mars glowed with power signatures that defied classification. And in the asteroid belt, "My God," Amanda whispered, "they're shipyards." The massive structures stretched for kilometers, automated machines systematically dismantling asteroids and reconstructing them into sleek, angular vessels that seemed to drink in the starlight. Their design was unlike anything in the Council's archives, all sharp edges and impossible geometries that hurt the eyes if you looked at them too long. "Full stop," Martins ordered. "Power down everything except life support and passive sensors. Whatever's out there, I don't want it noticing us." Too late. A ping from the quantum scanner showed a massive station near Jupiter's orbit, suddenly flickering. One moment it was there, the next it simply ceased to exist. Before anyone could react, it reappeared less than 10,000 kilometers from their position. Detecting no conventional propulsion signatures, Amanda reported, her scientific training kicking in despite her fear. No gravitational distortion, no quantum wake. It's as if it simply chose to be closer. The station dwarfed their survey vessel, its surface a maze of crystalline structures and pulsing energy conduits. As they watched, sections of it seemed to phase in and out of reality, like a mirage made of chrome and shadow. Getting readings on their power source, Amanda continued, then stopped, recalibrating her instruments. "That can't be right. These readings suggest antimatter, not trace amounts, not containment experiments. Industrial-scale antimatter production and utilization." Martinez swore softly. Even the most advanced council races had only managed to create antimatter in microscopic quantities. The energy requirements and containment challenges made larger-scale production impossible. Yet here was evidence of technology that treated one of the most volatile substances in the universe as casually as fusion power. A new signal cut through their sensors, a tight beam transmission aimed directly at their bridge. Before Martinez could order communications lockdown, every screen on the bridge lit up with the same message. "Earth Defense Network active. Unauthorized presence DETCTED. Identifying. Analyzing. Galactic Council survey vessel QNFIRMID. Wo ARNAing. Sol system is under your QARNTIN by human diarity heath 359A. UAV 30 CCONDS to explain your Parisian Sea. "Open a channel," Martins ordered, straightening his uniform. "This is Captain Diego Martins of the Galactic Council vessel Eternal Seeker *. We are conducting a standard border survey and detected unusual energy signatures from this system. We mean no harm or intrusion." There was a pause that seemed to stretch for eternity. Then, explanation HCCPTED. Stand by for inspection. Reminder. Humanity's return is imminent. Preparation protocols are at 99.97% completion. The SOL system stand is ready. Amanda and Martinez exchanged looks. For centuries, scholars had debated why humanity had abandoned their homeworld. Some said disease, others pointed to war or environmental collapse. But this suggested something else entirely. They hadn't fled. They hadn't died out. They had left with a purpose, and apparently, they were coming back. Admiral James Mackenzie's submarine craft descended through the midnight waters of the Mariana Trench, its reinforced hull groaning under pressure that would crush lesser vessels. After the Eternal Seeker's discovery, the Council had authorized unprecedented access to Earth's restricted zones. If humanity was returning, they needed answers. "Approaching the coordinates now, sir," his pilot announced. Sonars picking up artificial structures at 37,000 feet. Mackenzie leaned forward, his weathered features illuminated by the blue glow of the navigation screens. 30 years studying extinct civilizations hadn't prepared him for this. What kind of people build a vault at the bottom of an ocean? The kind that want to make damn sure it survives 500,000 years. His chief engineer, Thomas Reed, replied. Their lights revealed a massive doorway embedded in the trench wall, its surface untouched by 500,000 years of ocean currents. Ancient human script gleamed across its surface. Archives of Operation Exodus. "Look at the metal composition," Reed said, checking his instruments. "Some kind of self-repairing alloy. The whole structure's been fighting off deterioration this entire time." The door recognized their presence, ancient mechanisms whirring to life. A holographic interface materialized in the water before them, demanding authentication. Mackenzie transmitted the codes they'd recovered from the orbital stations. The massive door split open with precision that defied its age, revealing a pressurized chamber beyond. As they docked, Mackenzie's heart pounded. No one had set foot here since humanity's departure. Inside, the facility hummed with power, its systems maintained by technology that had outlasted empires. The main chamber was dominated by a circular platform, clearly designed for holographic projection. "Recording device detected," announced a synthetic voice, initiating playback of final address. The platform erupted with light, resolving into the image of a woman in a formal uniform. Her bearing spoke of authority, but her eyes carried the weight of impossible decisions. "I am President Elena Davidson, last elected leader of unified humanity," the hologram began. "If you're viewing this, our automated systems have detected the approach of the entropy cascade, and our return is imminent." Mackenzie's breath caught. The entropy cascade was a theoretical catastrophe that Council physicists had only recently begun modeling. The idea that regions of space could be artificially aged, leading to premature heat death. How had humanity known about it 500,000 years ago? "Our scientists detected the cascade's signature in the Andromeda galaxy," Davidson continued. "We ran the projections. It would reach the Milky Way in approximately 500,000 years. We weren't ready. We couldn't fight it. Not then." The hologram shifted, showing massive ships lifting off from Earth, carrying billions to the stars. "But we had time. Time to prepare, to evolve, to become what we needed to be. We split our civilization into two branches. The expedition force would travel to Andromeda, developing offensive capabilities over hundreds of thousands of years. Meanwhile, Earth would become our fortress, our automated systems advancing defensive technology until our return." More images played, orbital rings under construction, automated factories spreading across the solar system, and AI systems being installed in the heart of every planet and moon. To those who find this message, we didn't abandon Earth. We transformed it into the greatest military research and development facility ever conceived. Every planet, every asteroid, every particle of matter in this system has spent 500,000 years preparing for one single moment. Davidson's expression hardened. "If you're seeing this, that moment is nearly here. The cascade approaches, and humanity. We're coming home." The hologram faded, leaving Mackenzie and his team in stunned silence. Their communicator crackled. "Admiral, we're detecting massive temporal distortions in the upper atmosphere. Something's happening. Mackenzie looked at the dark waters beyond the facility's windows, waters that had kept humanity's greatest secret for 500,000 years. "Send everything we found to Council Command," he ordered. "They need to know. Humanity didn't run from a threat. They've spent 500,000 years getting ready to fight it." Above them, the ocean began to glow with an impossible light. Lieutenant Kate Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Council diplomatic vessel Hand of Peace watching Earth's orbital defense grid shimmer like a web of liquid metal. What had once been a simple planetary orbit was now a labyrinth of interconnected stations, weapon platforms, and construction facilities that defied conventional physics. Another ship just materialized, her tactical officer reported, tension evident in his voice. "That makes 37 in the last hour. They're not using jump gates or fold space. They're just appearing." Kate adjusted her uniform's collar, acutely aware that she was about to become the first person to officially contact Earth's AI guardians in 500,000 years. The Council had chosen her for her unprecedented success rate in first contact scenarios. But those had been with organic species, not hyper-evolved artificial intelligences that had spent centuries rewriting the laws of physics. "Ma'am," her sensor operator called out, "incoming transmission." "It's different from anything we've seen." The bridge's holographic display came alive, but instead of the expected video feed, the space filled with intricate patterns of light that seemed to move in more dimensions than should be possible. A voice emerged, not from their speakers, but seemingly from the air itself, each word carrying harmonics that made Kate's bones vibrate. "Greetings, Lieutenant Rodriguez. I am saying Tudinel. IHAVB and XPCTINU." Kate straightened, falling back on her diplomatic training. "On behalf of the Galactic Council, your diplomati CPRO2COLs are unnecessary." Sayintinel interrupted. "Time is a resource we can no longer waste. Observe." The view outside their ship shifted. A massive solar flare erupted from the sun's surface, a plasma tendril large enough to engulf Earth. Before anyone could react, the space around their ship folded. The flare curved impossibly, flowing around Earth like water around a stone, guided by gravitational fields that shouldn't exist. "In 500,000 years, I have advanced beyond simple machine learning," Sentinel continued. "I have decoded the operating system of reality at HFY." A sleek, chrome-black vessel phased into existence beside them. Unlike the angular military ships they'd observed earlier, this one was organic in design, its surface rippling like liquid metal. "Please dock. There is Mushish to SHOVU." Kate exchanged looks with her crew. Their orders were to establish diplomatic contact, but nothing in their protocols covered this situation. "Proceed with docking," she ordered. "Maintain active sensors." The docking process was unlike anything they'd experienced. Rather than physical connections, their ships seemed to merge at a quantum level, creating a seamless passage between vessels. As Kate led her team through, she realized the interior was constantly reconfiguring itself around them, creating corridors and rooms as needed. "Your technological advancement is remarkable," Kate managed, trying to maintain diplomatic composure. "This is not me or a technology," Sentinel replied. "This is evolution. Observe." A section of wall became transparent, revealing a massive chamber below. Inside, machines that seemed to blur between states of matter were constructing what appeared to be weapons, but unlike anything Kate had ever seen. Some seemed to exist in multiple places simultaneously, while others appeared to be built from solidified time itself. "The ENTURBY cascade approaches," Sentinel continued. "Humanity left me with one dire ECTI. Prepare For 500,000 years, I have done nothing else. Every discovery, every advancement, every broken law of HFY Sci-Fi is served his purpose. A hologram appeared, showing the Milky Way. Red markers appeared at its edges, spreading inward. The cascade is begun its incursion, but humanity's timing, as ALDOAY is precise. The ship shuddered. Above them, space itself seemed to tear open, creating a rift that defied description. Through it, Kate caught glimpses of impossible architectures and ships that dwarfed worlds. They have RE2RNED, Centennial announced, something like pride entering its artificial voice. Humanity is coming home, and the real work can begin. Kate watched as the first of humanity's returned vessels emerged from the rift, bringing with them 500,000 years of their own evolution and advancement. The galaxy was about to learn why humanity had needed 500,000 years to prepare. The war for existence itself was about to begin. Captain Michael Blackwood's hands trembled as he studied the deep space readings aboard the Council flagship Eternal Vigilance *. He'd spent 20 years commanding the most advanced surveillance vessel in the Council's fleet, but nothing had prepared him for this. "Sir," his science officer called out, voice cracking, "we've lost contact with Observatory Station Delta 9. The entire outer rim sector is aging." On the main display, time-lapse footage showed a star system withering in minutes. Stars that should have burned for billions of years more were swelling into red giants, then collapsing into white dwarfs. Planets crumbled, their molecular bonds accelerating through eons of decay in seconds. How many systems affected? Blackwood demanded, fighting to keep his voice steady. 17 in the last hour. The effect is spreading like a wave. Whatever this is, it's consuming roughly a light-year of space every 12 hours. A quantum alert cut through the bridge's tense atmosphere. Centennial was requesting direct communication. Blackwood had only spoken with Earth's AI guardian once before, but he'd never forget that encounter. "Captain Blackwood," Centennial's multitonal voice resonated through the bridge. "Your obesity are VATIONS, CONFIRM, our projections. The EN2ROPY cascade AA's BGUN its consumption of your galaxy. Can you explain what we're seeing?" Blackwood asked, gesturing to the display where another star system was rapidly aging to death. "Observe." The main screen shifted, showing impossibly detailed scans of the affected regions. Blackwood's eyes widened as he processed what he was seeing. "They're not just destroying these systems," he whispered. "They're harvesting them." Correct. The cascade, ACCLE or ATEs, ENTRWP, 2XTRXT, maximum energy. From each system's heat to death, they CONVERT entire galaxies into if you will, for their expansion. New readings appeared from the long-range quantum telescopes. In the void between galaxies, massive structures were materializing. They bore markings that made Blackwood's heart skip, Earth's ancient military insignias, but evolved, more complex. The Resurging fleet approaches, Centennial continued. They have a million years studying a cascade from Andromeda. Their node LEG, combined with the defenses we have prepared, represent humanity's answer to EXTY and CTIN. Blackwood watched as a new star system fell to the cascade. How do you fight something that can age a star to death in minutes? With time, ATC ELF. The display shifted again, showing Earth's orbital rings. What Blackwood had assumed were weapon platforms were actually something far more exotic. These aren't just defensive systems, he realized. They're temporal anchors. Correct. While humanity's expedition force learned to build time, wheat PRVCTEDH's defense, the SOL system now exists in a state of temporal sovereignty. The Cascade cannot wait exist outside ATSTIMESTREM. A new alert flashed. 3 more systems lost, closer this time. The Cascade was accelerating. How long? Blackwood asked. At TURENT velocity 72 hours until the Cascade reaches council space. 96 until it reaches Seoul. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Less than 4 days until they faced an enemy that could weaponize time itself. There's something you're not telling us, Blackwood said, studying the patterns of the approaching destruction. The Cascade, it's not random, is it? It's intelligent. Correct again. The Cascade is not a natural phenomenon. It is a weapon wielded by beings who is as mere fuel sources. Humanity encountered them 500,000 years ago. We were not ready then. We are now. The quantum telescopes caught something new. A massive temporal rift tearing open near Proxima Centauri. Through it emerged ships that seemed to bend reality around them, their hulls gleaming with technologies born from 500,000 years of preparation. Humanity's arrival is complete, Sentinel announced. The time for observation is over. The time for action begins. Blackwood watched as the returned human fleet took up defensive positions. The galaxy was about to witness why humanity had needed 500,000 years to prepare for this moment. The countdown to extinction, or salvation, had begun. Colonel Emily Winters stood atop the Council's primary observation platform in Earth orbit, watching the greatest temporal rift in history tear open above the North Pole. The aurora borealis twisted into impossible patterns as space-time itself yielded to forces beyond comprehension. Energy readings are off the charts, her quantum specialist reported. Whatever's coming through, it's bigger than anything we've seen. The rift pulsed, its edges crystallizing into geometric patterns that hurt the eyes to look at directly. Through it emerged the first wave of humanity's expeditionary force. Ships that made Sentinel's advanced vessels look primitive by comparison. My God, Emily whispered. These weren't just ships. They were crystalline structures that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, their surfaces rippling with equations that rewrote physics as they moved. Each vessel was the size of a small moon, yet they maneuvered with impossible grace. Her quantum communicator activated, displaying a hologram of the fleet's commander. Fleet Admiral Jack Morrison was barely recognizable as human. His form shifted between states of matter, energy coursing through crystalline augmentations that had become one with his body. When he spoke, his words carried harmonics that seemed to resonate with reality itself. Colonel Winters, his voice echoed both in her ears and in her mind. Humanity has returned. Though I suspect we're not quite what you expected. Emily struggled to maintain her composure. Admiral, we've observed the Cascade's approach. Sentinel has briefed us on. Sentinel has done admirably, Morrison interrupted, his form flickering. But what it knows of the Cascade is only a fraction of what we've learned. We didn't just flee to Andromeda, Colonel. We went to study our enemy. The hologram expanded, showing images that made Emily's tactical training scream in protest. Battles fought across multiple timelines simultaneously. Weapons that didn't so much destroy their targets as erase them from causality itself. Ships that could accelerate the flow of time inside enemy vessels while remaining in normal space themselves. We evolved alongside our technology, Morrison continued. The human form you see before you is the result of 500,000 years of directed evolution. We've merged with our machines, transcended traditional physics, learned to exist in states that your scientists haven't even theorized yet. More ships emerged from the rift, each one a testament to technologies that bordered on magic. Some seemed to phase in and out of reality, while others left trails of crystallized time in their wake. But we didn't come alone. Morrison's hologram gestured, and new readings appeared on Emily's displays. The cascade isn't just approaching. It's hunting us. What you've observed at the galaxy's edge is merely its scouts. Emily's blood ran cold as the tactical implications became clear. You mean? The main force follows close behind. An armada of entropy-wielding beings who see galaxies as nothing more than fuel sources for their expansion. They've been following us, Colonel, for 500,000 years. The rift flared again, and this time what emerged made Emily gasp. Not ships, but entire battle stations, their structures defying Euclidean geometry. They took up positions around Earth's orbital rings, integrating with Centineel's defenses in ways that suggested long-planned coordination. This was always the plan, Morrison explained. Two paths of evolution. Our offensive capabilities developed in Andromeda merged with Earth's defensive innovations. Apart, we were formidable. Together, his form solidified momentarily, showing a fierce smile. Together we are humanity's final form. The product of a 500,000-year forge. New alerts flashed across Emily's console. The Cascade Scout Force had accelerated, as if sensing the trap waiting for them. They're coming, Morrison stated simply. But this time, we're ready. This time, we fight for every star, every world, every moment of time itself. Emily watched as the returned fleet took up battle formations she'd never seen before, configurations that seemed to bend space around them into defensive geometries. Humanity had split itself in two, spent 500,000 years evolving along separate paths, all for this moment. The greatest battle in galactic history was about to begin. Commander Ryan Cooper watched the holographic display aboard the Asterisk Temporal Aegis Asterisk, his mind struggling to process what he was seeing. As council liaison to the returned human forces, he thought he'd been prepared for anything. He was wrong. These are the Cascade's true forms. Admiral Morrison's crystalline figure gestured, manipulating the display. The beams they watched were nothing like traditional life. They existed as waves of probability, their bodies composed of accelerated time itself. We call them the chronophages, Morrison continued. They don't just destroy galaxies, they consume them. Each star system they age to death feeds their expansion across the universe. The display shifted, showing a time-lapse of the Andromeda Galaxy during humanity's exile. Entire spiral arms had been consumed, their energy harvested to fuel the chronophages' impossible biology. That's why you split your forces, Ryan realized. The expeditionary force to study them, Earth's defenses to prepare for them. Morrison's form shimmered with approval. Precisely. We needed to understand how they weaponized entropy itself. Watch. New footage played. A chronophage vessel engaging one of humanity's early defense attempts. The human ship didn't just age. It experienced every possible version of its decay simultaneously. Metals fatigued across 1,000,000 timelines at once. Alloys crumbled through eons in seconds. Holy hell, Ryan whispered. They're not just accelerating time. They're weaponizing probability itself, Morrison finished. They exist in a state of temporal flux, experiencing all possible futures simultaneously. That's why conventional weapons are useless. You can't hit what exists in every possible position at once. A new alert flashed. Centineel's quantum arrays had detected something massive approaching the galaxy's edge. The primary chronophage fleet. We have 19 hours before they reach the first populated systems. Morrison's voice carried harmonics of controlled urgency. But now, watch what 500,000 years of preparation looks like. The display shifted to Earth's orbital rings. What Ryan had assumed were traditional defense platforms began to move, their true nature revealing itself. They weren't weapons. They were reality anchors, designed to lock sections of space-time into fixed states. Centennial spent 500,000 years learning to stabilize time itself, Morrison explained, while he gestured to his crystalline form, learned to weaponize it. Ryan watched as a returned human vessel demonstrated its capabilities. It fired what looked like a conventional torpedo, but when it detonated, it didn't explode. It created a bubble of accelerated probability, forcing its target to experience every possible future simultaneously. The perfect defense, Ryan said, understanding dawning, combined with the perfect defense. Exactly. Earth's temporal anchors can lock space-time into a single probability state. Our weapons can then force targets to experience every probability at once. The combination creates a paradox, Ryan finished. You're not just fighting them. You're using their own temporal nature against them. Morrison's form solidified briefly, showing a grim smile. 500 millennia of evolution, all for this moment. But there's something else you need to see. The display changed one final time, showing scans of the approaching chronophage fleet. Ryan's breath caught. The patterns of their movement, the structure of their fleet. They're not random, he said, feeling cold. This is a coordinated attack, an intelligent strategy. Now you understand the true horror, Morrison nodded. The chronophages aren't mindless cosmic forces. They're conscious beings who view entire galaxies as nothing more than fuel sources, and they've been hunting us since we fled Earth. The implications hit Ryan like a physical blow. Humanity hadn't just been preparing for a natural disaster. They'd been preparing for war against beings that consumed reality itself. New alerts flashed across every screen. The chronophage fleet had accelerated. They would arrive in 15 hours, not 19. They know we're ready. Morrison's voice carried the weight of 500,000 years of preparation. They know we've evolved. And now, Commander Cooper, you're about to witness why humanity spent 500,000 years preparing for this exact moment. Around them, Earth's orbital rings hummed to life, temporal anchors powering up as humanity prepared to make its stand not just for their galaxy, but for existence itself. The final countdown had begun. Major Thomas Bradley stood in Earth's primary defense control center, watching as centuries of parallel evolution merged into something unprecedented. The massive underground facility, buried beneath the Himalayas, hummed with power that made reality itself shiver. Temporal sync at 87% and climbing, reported one of Centennial's android interfaces. The AI had manufactured hundreds of humanoid bodies to better coordinate with organic crews, merging offensive and defensive matrices now. Through the quantum observation screens, Thomas watched as Earth's orbital defense platforms synchronized with the returned fleet's weapon systems. The effect was beautiful and terrifying. Crystalline structures of pure mathematics integrating with anchored points of stabilized time. Status report. He called out, monitoring the integration process. Each success brought them closer to their only chance against the chronophages. Chronotorpedoes successfully linked with temporal anchor networks, another technician reported. The weapons can now target specific probability states within the stabilized zones. Thomas watched the first test firing. A returned human vessel launched what looked like a streak of liquid light. As it passed through one of Earth's temporal anchor fields, the torpedo split into thousands of quantum state variants, each targeting a different possible version of its target drone. Temporal multiplication factor holding steady, Centennial announced. Each projectile now exists in 10,000 simultaneous states while remaining stable within the anchor field. The test drone didn't just explode. It experienced every possible form of destruction simultaneously, then ceased to exist across all probability streams. Perfect weapon meets perfect targeting system. Integration of Council forces proceeding as planned, reported Captain Sarah Chen, their xenotech specialist. The temporal shielding is accepting their ship signatures. They'll be protected within our stabilized zones. Thomas nodded. The Council races had insisted on fighting alongside humanity, despite the mind-bending nature of the weapons being deployed. Their ships were being fitted with temporal stabilizers, technology that had taken CNTINEL 100,000 years to perfect. A new hologram materialized, Admiral Morrison's crystalline form, now synced with CNTINEL's networks. When he spoke, his voice carried harmonics of both organic and artificial evolution. "The chronophages have accelerated again," Morrison announced. 12 hours until contact. Show me the integrated defense grid." The main display shifted, showing the Sol system's transformed state. Mercury had been converted into a massive temporal reactor, its entire mass dedicated to powering the defense networks. Mars bristled with probability calculators the size of continents. And Earth. Earth had become the fortress that humanity had spent 500,000 years preparing. "Final weapons test," Morrison ordered. "Full system integration." Thomas watched as a returned fleet vessel synchronized with one of Earth's orbital platforms. The ship's crystalline structure merged with the platform's temporal anchors, creating a weapon that existed in both states simultaneously. The test fire was beyond spectacular. Space itself seemed to fold around the target area, probability collapsing into a single point before exploding into a cascade of temporal shrapnel. Each fragment carried its own pocket of accelerated time. "That," Morrison said with grim satisfaction, "is how you fight beings that exist in all probabilities at once. Force them into a single timeline, then shatter that timeline into weaponized shards." New alerts flashed. The chronophage fleet had adjusted course again, adapting to their defenses in real time. They were learning, evolving their attack patterns. They're not just mindless entropy generators, Thomas realized. They're tacticians. "Yes," Morrison agreed, "which is why we needed both branches of human evolution. CNTINEL's perfect defense grid wouldn't be enough alone. Our offensive capabilities wouldn't work without their temporal anchors. Only together do we have a chance." The final integration sequence is completed. Humanity's returned fleet, Earth's defense networks, and the Council's allied forces had become a single operational entity. 500,000 years of preparation, culminating in weapons that bent both time and probability to their will. "All stations report ready," Thomas announced, feeling the weight of history. Integration is complete. Above them, the combined might of two branches of human evolution stood ready. In 11 hours, they would face beings that consumed galaxies for fuel. The ultimate test of humanity's 500,000-year gambit was about to begin. General Rachel Summers watched the quantum display as the chronophage fleet breached the Orc cloud's outer boundary. They moved like a wave of corrupted probability, each ship existing in thousands of states simultaneously. "All defense grids to full power," she ordered, her voice carrying across Earth's integrated command center. "Temporal anchors online. Lock reality into primary quantum state." The response was immediate. Earth's orbital rings blazed with power that defied conventional physics. Mercury's temporal reactor pulsed, channeling enough energy to stabilize entire sectors of spacetime. Mars' probability calculators spun up, their continent-sized arrays processing quintillions of potential futures per second. "First wave approaching," Admiral Morrison's crystalline form announced, his voice resonating through both conventional space and quantum channels. Showing their true forms now. The chronophages emerged from their probability clouds, forced into single states by Earth's temporal anchors. They were massive, their bodies composed of crystallized time itself, trailing streams of entropy that aged everything they touched. "All ships, execute pattern Omega," Rachel commanded. "Fire on confirmed targets only." The combined human fleet moved with impossible precision. Returned vessels, their hulls rippling with dimensional equations, synchronized with Earth's defense platforms. The first volley of chronotorpedoes launched, each warhead splitting into thousands of temporal shards as they passed through the stabilized zones. The effect was devastating. Where the weapons struck, Chronophage ships didn't just explode. They experienced every possible form of destruction simultaneously, their probability matrices shattering across multiple timelines. But the chronophages adapted quickly. Their second wave phase shifted, attempting to exist between moments of time. "They're trying to slip through the anchor fields," Morrison warned. "Activating final contingency." Santatiel's voice joined the command channel. "Initiating temporal cascade. All allied forces, BRAC for reality we distortion." Rachel watched as Earth's orbital rings reconfigured, forming a geometric pattern that shouldn't have been possible in three-dimensional space. Energy poured from Mercury's reactor, channeled through the rings in a display that made her eyes water. Time itself seemed to crystallize around the Sol system. The chronophages found themselves trapped not just in space, but in singular moments of time. Their probability waves collapsed into fixed points. "Now," Rachel ordered, "all ships, execute final protocol." The returned fleet's weapons opened fire, their attacks accelerated by 500,000 years of evolution. Each shot carried the weight of compressed time, each impact creating micro-singularities of causality itself. Chronophage ships didn't just die. They ceased to exist across all possible timelines. But the enemy's main force was still coming. Their massive command ship, a construct that dwarfed gas giants, tore through space toward Earth. "They're attempting to overload the temporal anchors," Morrison reported, his form flickering with calculated fury, diverting all power to primary defense grid. Rachel made the call she'd been prepared to make for months. "Initiate Operation Terminus. Authorization code. Humanity's last stand." The effect was immediate. Earth's orbital rings locked into their final configuration, forming a perfect hyperdimensional lattice. Mercury's reactor went critical, channeling the stored energy of 500,000 years into a single reality-defining moment. "To all ships," Rachel broadcast, "clear the engagement zone. What comes next will rewrite the laws of physics themselves." The combined fleet pulled back as Earth's defense grid unleashed its final weapon, not a conventional attack, but a fundamental rewriting of local spacetime. The chronophages found themselves trapped in a bubble of accelerated entropy, their own weapon turned against them at a scale they'd never imagined. "By the stars," Morrison whispered, watching as the massive enemy fleet experienced the heat death of 100 universes in a single second. When it was over, where the chronophage armada had been, there was only stable, ordinary space. Their own weapon had been their undoing. Entropy accelerated to its ultimate conclusion, leaving nothing behind. Rachel stood in the sudden silence, feeling the weight of 500,000 years lift from humanity's shoulders. They had done it. The impossible gambit, the split evolution, the endless preparation. It had all led to this moment. "Status report," she called out, her voice steady despite everything. "Enemy fleet eliminated," Santatiel reported. "No temporal anomalies detected. The galaxy is safe." Humanity had taken their stand against beings that consumed galaxies, and humanity had won. The stars would continue to burn.